Good evening. We'd like to welcome you all to our meeting this evening. We appreciate you being here and all those folks who will be watching on the City TV channel. We'd like to call this meeting to order. We'd like to begin with a pledge by Stacy Anderson and then a prayer offered by Mr. Perkins.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we are thankful for this beautiful day we can meet tonight. We're thankful for this wonderful community that we live in and the wonderful people here. We pray that Thou will bless this community and protect it, bless it with moisture that's needed, keep it safe, to rehydrate our dry land. Pray for our teachers and our students. Ask that Thou will bless them as they prepare to return to school here shortly. We're thankful for this wonderful country that we live in. We're thankful for those men and women who have defended our freedom and currently do. Ask that Thou will be with them and strengthen them. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for your participation. I'll now entertain a motion to approve the agenda as written.
I move to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 3.2, recognition of retiring staff. Mr. Housley.
Mr. President, members of the board, what I'm going to do at this time is similar to legendary staff. If we can invite you to go around, and then we all call the staff member up, and then I know that each of you might have, or some of you might have something to say, and sharing your appreciation for these wonderful staff members. We're going to go ahead, Mr. President, and invite Mrs. Jaramillo to come up first. I want to take just an opportunity to share my appreciation for Mrs. Jaramillo. We came into the district at the same time 3 years ago, and she took the reins at Whipple Ranch, and she's done a phenomenal job. Her teachers love and care for her. I think they would go to the moon and back for her. They really appreciate what she's done. I think the students of Sholo and Whipple Ranch in particular are better off because of her service. And we're grateful. We're going to miss her. I asked her what she's going to do August 1st, and she said she's going to go camping because the start of school is her favorite time of year. And she's certainly going to miss it, but I think more importantly, we're really going to miss her. So Mrs. Jaramillo, thank you.
Before you go, is there anything anybody would like to say? I want to say this. First of all, I am the worst with her last name. I just cannot get it right. It's just
Small children in Mexico say it.
Yeah, all the ugly guys in America can't. Before Susie came, we were experiencing. We wanted to experience a better situation than we had, and she came in and she just took us to the next level and really did such a great job. Her people fell in love with her, and through that they did a better job, and through that it affected children and their opportunities to learn. For that, I am extremely grateful and was not and am not happy when losing.
Well, Mr. Harvey back there is real happy.
Yeah.
He says he's been waiting for 4 years.
So I want the hugest, most massive to-do list for him to make him pay for taking us away.
He did. He had to do it before I retired.
Oh.
I gave him the list.
Oh.
He did it. He had to do this.
So he's done?
Yeah, just about.
Oh.
About done.
All right.
But thank you all.
More
And
of a man than I am.
I would just say it's been just a wonderful 3 years. I've had lots of superintendents, and Mr. Crossley certainly is up there in my. And it's easy to do your job when you have someone that supports you. So it's been an amazing school board that supports the job. And I don't have to say those things. I say those things because it really is in my heart. So thank you all so much.
We appreciate you.
Mr. President, I was just informed that when we say something, we're probably going to have to use that microphone.
Okay.
Otherwise, they won't be able to hear all the great things.
Okay.
Mrs. Waters, if Mrs. Waters can come forward. Mrs. Waters she's only been here a few 28 years or so. Awesome.
I'm just, what am I going to do? Travel. My husband's in our Camaro. We're going to be traveling in that. Also accepted a position to teach an online class for BYU, Idaho. So I've been started on that already. Students are from all over the world. Anyway, thank you. Thank you.
I know as her principal, Mr. Hall speaks very highly of Mrs. Waters, and I want to share with you my appreciation for the work that you've done in our school district. They often say, and you're going to, our next teacher that we recognize has a lot of years in the district also. When I was in my undergrad in the late 90s, they said that more than a third of the teachers will not make it out of their first 3 years. So to think that these ladies have made it as long as they have, congratulations. What a great accomplishment. I do admire you for doing that. Sherry Hathaway.
I got several things.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I know.
Sherry, you spent 40
Oh, thank you.
years. I think after you get to 35, you lose count and you just have to make up a number, right? No, but 40 years in the district. What an accomplishment. We appreciate her. Has your assignment always been at the junior high level?
Always 6 times 8.
Oh my goodness. Now she qualifies for sainthood.
Former students are here also.
Yeah, we
So
were
that's
12.
nice. They're old.
We were 12, Sherry.
We were 12.
That's
You
right.
started.
I did write something. Can I say?
Yes, please do. Yeah, if you'll use the mic.
It's short though. Mr. Housley, school board members, thank you for the plaque and the honor of being an educator in the district for 4 decades. When I moved from Phoenix to Shoalo in 1979, I never envisioned staying for 40 years. However, I met my forever friends, which several are here, my husband, and we raised our 3 children in this community. I'm blessed to have some of the principals that I had that were amazing mentors and so many teachers that helped me. I have taught a few thousand children. I was thinking about it last night, like, whoa, there's a few thousand. And I hope I made a positive impact on at least a few of them. Thank you to my biggest fans and my mom and dad back here. And always my husband, all my family, and my forever family, the teachers that I taught with. Thank you.
Want to use a mic?
So I need to take the opportunity. I know I am by far and away not the only person that can say this, but you taught my wife in junior high. I was going to say her age, but maybe I better not. But not only did you teach my wife, but I believe you had a hand in teaching all 4 of my children. For my wife and I to be married 6 years, not have children, move up here, I don't know, fertility of the pines, I don't know what it was, but we had 4 children, and we have been blessed to have you a part of our lives and their lives. And I know I speak for a multitude of people that is the same case. And so we're so grateful for you. We're going to miss you 40 years, thousands of children. I would say that there's a very, very small population that can say that. Very few people in this world can say that, undoubtedly.
We do have some others that we would just like to recognize that aren't here this evening. And so Missy Goodman, our high school business teacher, after 18 years in the district, has taken a job with the Arizona Department of Education. She will be the state director over FBLA. So that is a great accomplishment for her, and it's going to be nice for her to move on and have an influence over FBLA across the state, not just here in Shoalo. She did some phenomenal things for us. Bonnie Poteet in our food service department, 20 years in our food service department. We are grateful for her. Jeanette Wagner retired in February, and I think she's with her grandkids every single day. So we're enjoying her grandkids after 22 years of service in the district, and great to see that. And Carol Williams, also in our food service department, 26 years of service to the Shoalo School District. We want to share our appreciation for these members of our staff who have sacrificed year after year and time to help educate and to raise generations of children in the Shoalo area. So thank you very much for your service. It is much appreciated by us.
Thank you again. We appreciate you being here. Again, your influence will be felt for decades. Appreciate you so much. Moving on to item 3.3, Superintendent Report to include comments on extracurricular activities, curriculum, and current events. Mr. Housley.
Members of the board, Mr. President, for my report this evening, I just wanted to report that we're neck deep in bond projects. We've got things going rather rapidly. Cross our fingers, they'll be done. Every day we have something new coming up. We have some other things coming online as projects are finishing up. Other things are coming online, so we're just moving flat out. We have recommendations for all of our positions in the district, so once those are approved, we'll be fully hired for the next school year. We did yesterday. Our district safety team met and completed our school-wide safety plan, formalized that. We do have some components, some attachments that we still need to add to it, but those are documents that just need some wordsmithing and some editing. So we'll have that completed and probably bring that for your approval in the August board meeting. We also took some time today and we brought in all the district leadership, including high school counselors, assistant principals, junior high counselors, and others to a district, the first year of having a district leadership academy. And we spent for about 6 hours today discussing leadership principles, training on leadership, and to unifying our vision for the upcoming school year. So I think it was a day worthwhile, and that's our report.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Did you, was that Leadership Academy in-house? Did you bring anybody in, or was that just you folks?
It was just us.
Good, good,
Yep.
very excellent. Thank you. Item 3.4, call to the audience. Brandy, do we have anybody for call to the audience? No? Okay, thank you. Item 3.5, future board agenda items. Is there any board member who would like a future board agenda item placed? No? Okay, thank you. Item 4.1, approval of the 2019-2020 Junior High Student Family Handbook. Mr. Housley.
Mr. President, members of the board, inside as an attachment in your board documents there, you will see the Junior High Student and Family Handbook. Mrs. Clark is here, should there be any questions that you might have about that, but we do bring that to your for you this evening for your approval.
Make a motion to approve the junior high handbook.
I second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item 5.1, approval of revised position. Mr. Housley.
Mr. President, members of the board, there in the Special Services Department, and we have had a staff member there who performed duties. She has since retired, and we felt like it was a good time to bring a little bit of a change to that position and to more meet our needs that we have going into the 1920 school year. Last year, for instance, we tested 3 times as many students for special needs that we tested the prior year, and we anticipate that number continuing. Part of those documents is a document called the MET, or we call it the MET. All that information has to be entered in and formalized into the system, and this position would take on some of those duties, as well as organizing substitutes around the district, particularly when we have a para 2 who works with one-on-one with special needs students. When they're gone, we have to make sure that there's a sub there so we can fulfill our obligation to that student for that day. So they'll be able to coordinate those efforts, which is something that they have done. So some duties remain the same, but there is an evolution to that position where there's a little heavier responsibility. So with those adjustments, we bring those adjustments to you for your approval this evening.
I make a motion for the approval of the revised Special Services Secretary position.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. 5.2, approval of resignations, retirements, and terminations. Mr. House.
Mr. President, we bring for your approval the resignation of Stephanie Miller, the high school attendance secretary, effective 5/31/19.
I'll move we approve the resignation as listed.
I second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. 5.3, approval of new hires, renewals, and transfers. Mr. Housley.
Members of the board, Mr. President, for your consideration this evening, Delilah Calderon, junior high 6th grade math and science teacher. That's pending certification. She was working with AD and was taking care of that actually last week. So that should be taken care of. Brandy Gray, the board secretary and administrative assistant to the superintendent, and she's here with us this evening. We appreciate that. Raquel Hollander, junior high special ed parapro. Marnie Lay, junior high special ed parapro. Jeff McNeil, the high school baseball coach. Teresa Murrow, Whipple Ranch Special Ed Parapro, Eduardo Salinas, high school CTE business teacher. Lucia Smith, Transportation and Facilities Secretary. Cheyenne Tafoya, Whipple Ranch preschool paraprofessional. Devin Tafoya, custodian. McKenna Tanner, Whipple Ranch Special Ed Parapro. Also transferring Carrie Poe to Nicholas Homestead Elementary Special Ed Parapro to the junior high Special Ed Paraprofessional, and Geneva Sherwood from a high school Special Ed Parapro to Whipple Ranch Special Ed Parapro. I bring these for your approval this evening.
A motion for approval of new hires, renewals, and transfers.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 5.4, approval of stipends, volunteers, and event workers. Mr. Housley.
Members of the board, Mr. President, for your approval this evening, Summer Food Service, Aaron Ford and Gabe Moya. Summer Child Find, Janet Ward. She was previously sent to the board as Jamie Wright. Renee Higginbotham, high school special ed Edgenuity teacher, and Vicki Lawrence, high school special ed Edgenuity. That's for summer school. Also stipends for the high school volleyball, Katie Klein, assistant coach, and Vanessa Tidwell, assistant coach. And as a volunteer for high school volleyball, Shelby Boyer. I bring these to you for your approval this evening.
I'll move we approve the summer staff, sports, and regular stipends, event workers, and volunteers as listed.
I second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item 5.5, discussion and approval of Exhibit B performance goal for superintendent contract. Mr. Housley.
Mr. President, members of the board, as part of my contract, there's a portion of my contract that is considered performance pay. And that goal or goals for that to earn that performance pay would be attached to the contract as Exhibit B. And for your consideration this evening, I have 3 options for you, kind of for you to discuss and look at. Any of these would be applicable and meet the criteria for this performance goal. So and meet what the statute would have us do. So option 1 would be around improving student achievement. This is in line with our district goals. Basically, it would state something along the lines of Show Low School District will increase student achievement in both English, language arts, and math. The superintendent will ensure that achievement in 80% of all tested areas are at or above state average as measured by the Easy Merit Spring Assessment. Just so you know kind of currently where we are, currently 9 out of the 18 tested sections are at or above state average. So we're at 50%. So this goal would look to push us to a 30% increase in that. Just as a caveat, the other 9, we missed the state average in one area by 1 point. There was 2 areas that we did it by right around 2 points. We do have, there were 3 that missed it by 6 or more points. So we're right there. So it's not it is a stretch, but it's not a huge stretch. We haven't been at 80% of our tested areas at state average or higher in the last 5 years. So that's option 1. Option 2 would be to improve student achievement. That's around school labels. Each school in the district will receive a label of an A or a B as determined by the Arizona Department of Education. Currently, 3 of the 4 that receive labels are at a B. 1 is a C. The kind of obstacle to this goal is, for instance, this year our labels won't be released until November. So
For this year we just ended.
This year that we just ended. So that's not necessarily an issue other than it's in a different fiscal year and the year after year that happens. But at some point I might retire And so that would actually happen after the retirement, although we're only talking about the next 2 years. I'm not retiring in 2 years. So we're good in the next 2 years. Okay?
I have a question on that one.
Yep.
The school that received a C, was it close to a B? Like, are we within range, or is it, we just barely received a C? So it'd be really
We
pushing
were,
it.
we were close.
We were close.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were close to a B. Option 3 would be improved graduation rate. So if you look at Achieve Arizona, they set a goal. If you look at the Department of Ed, they set a goal for what graduation rate in the state of Arizona would be by 2021, 2022, and they put every year what they would like to increase it to. The average the state graduation rate is around 78%. By 2027, the state goal is 87%. Currently, we're at 86%, and this just an option would be to have us improve to 89% this next school year, or during this contract time, during the next 2 years. And so that would put us above the state average of 80, 88, or the state goal of 87 by 2027. But that's just there for discussion. So these are the 3 options that I put before you to kind of discuss and figure out where you want to land. It could be one of these, it could be all of these, it could be none of these. You might have a different idea, or they could even look different. So I bring this for your consideration and discussion and approval this evening.
Will you tell me what the state average is right now? You said 78.
78%.
78. The goal by 2027 is 87, and we're at 86.
We're at 86.
Can you give me an idea of the last 2-3 years where we've been?
About there, between 85 and 88%.
Okay.
I sort of like option 2. And the reason I like option 2 is because I think it encompasses option 1 and option 3, because graduation rate is part of the school label, and so is the achievement and growth. So that's why I kind of like option 2. This includes others also.
Like option 1 better.
Like
I just
one?
think it's more,
Defined.
yeah.
I like that
as
about
far,
it also.
As far as, our students and looking at our growth that way.
Mhm.
They're also hinged,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
interlocked.
So maybe one way to look at it, Amy, is right in line with what you said, option 1 and 3. Attention to those will cause the others to happen.
Mhm.
Attention to the option 2 doesn't necessarily mean that option 1 and 3 will improve.
More than likely, because you won't get a good letter grade if they don't.
And
Yeah,
who knows if
graduation
they'll
rate
have
is a
letter
small
grades.
portion of
Yeah.
that letter grade, though. And so, so
I do like option 1 in that it is like very specific, like there's a percentage there. And I think we could have numbers listed in option 2, but because exactly where we're at for every point that we're getting to get our letter grade.
Mhm.
I know you do because you've shown up to us.
Yeah.
Darrell, have you got a thought?
I was just going to make a motion to proceed with option 1.
One?
I think, John.
I can always make it hard on him and give him all 3. That would be fun for us, I'm not sure.
I thought it was bad enough the state made us pick that our goals weren't good enough.
I just think the others will follow
Mm-hmm.
as number 1 improves.
Mm-hmm.
And I put 80% there in goal 1. If you feel like it needs to be higher, then by all means, throw it higher.
That's a 30% increase.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we want 100% of our kids, but we incrementally get there. Like we want attainable goals.
And this will bring the staff along also. right? In order to achieve this, the staff has to get better and improve.
I think this is already part of the staff goals, and so it would correlate with
It is.
what the whole school is
Absolutely.
working on.
Yeah, so when I said that it's in alignment with district goals, our district goals for English or language arts and mathematics has been to, over the last 2 years, we tried to show a 5% increase in both of those areas. And so as we do that, we can overcome the state unless the state grows that 5% too, right?
Mhm.
So,
Which they haven't.
Which they haven't shown the ability to do. But we have, so. What are your thoughts? Anything else?
I still like option 2 because it includes everything. But I would go with option 1 also. I like that. I like the specifics of it. I think it's attainable, and I think that's an important, it's a stretch, but it's attainable.
Right, I move that we close option number 1.
I second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Fight for number 2?
No.
2? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We have chosen option 1 then, and you will proceed with that for us.
yes.
Thank you, sir. Item 6.1, we have nothing. Policy matters. Item 7.1, discussion and approval of proposed budget. You get this one.
Yes, sir, I do.
All right.
So I went ahead and before we actually get into the budget itself, I put together a small presentation to kind of give you a high-level overview of where we're at with our upcoming budget. If they could go ahead and...
Put that up on the screen. We gotta get it on the
Yeah.
screen. Gotta be better than what
There
we
we
got
go.
up there now.
So this is a kind of a histograph of where we've been as far as our ADM. You can see back in 2013, we were back at 2290. And by what we are projecting for this upcoming school year, it's
Just
just,
student count, right?
yes.
Okay.
So this is what we're projecting as far as student counts for the upcoming year, 2,393. Now remember, everything that I'm projecting here is going to be based on what happens on the 100th day of the school year. So right around that January 13, 14, 15 mark.
So these are previous 100-day count numbers.
Yes.
Okay.
So for the upcoming school year, we're going to have an M&O budget of $15,371,918. That is up from our final budget of this school year of $13,729,148. That's broken down into the 3 major categories. Regular education, you can see there it's an increase of $1.3 million over the previous year. Special ed, it's an increase of almost $400,000 over the previous year. And in transportation, it's a slight decrease. And again, the money that we receive for K-3 reading is not included in these figures. So when you break it down by percentage, 80% of our budget is going to go into salaries and benefits. 13% of our budget is going to go into purchase services. Now, purchase services are going to be things like our district liability insurance, our vehicle insurance, internet service, water, sewage, phones, garbage, the tuition that we have to pay NPC for our high school students, our ESI employees, our substitute, they're going to fall into this category for purchase services. Supplies and utilities, that's going to, that's exactly what it is. It's all of our teacher, custodial, grounds, maintenance supplies. It's our athletic supplies. It's our electrical costs. It's our cost for propane. It's our cost for gasoline and diesel fuel for our buses and our white fleet. The last portion is a miscellaneous portion. That's right about $30,000 that's going to be in there, and that pays our dues and fees. So professional organizations, White Mountain League for the junior high, things like that, ASBA for our the service to use the
Policy.
policy manual and things like that. So if we're going to compare teacher salaries over previous years, for this year coming up, our average teacher salary is going to be $42,109. This is just base salary. This includes no stipends, and it does not include any 301 payment. So this is just on their base. That is up from the $41,340, which is a $679 increase, which is a 2% increase. Now, yes, we did give a 5% increase over the previous on salaries for teachers for this upcoming school year. But when we've lost teachers and we've replaced them, they just haven't met that same dollar threshold. That's why that average comes down to that 2% of an increase. So when we look at our classroom site funding, this is our 301 money. These are the amounts that we're going to get in each of those categories. It's down, the budget number is down a little bit from the previous year because we've used up the carryover money that we've had from the previous year. That's why those budget numbers are lower. And I forgot to change the 18-19 to the 19-20 top. District additional assistance. This is our capital budget. Within capital, our budget this year is going to be $534,724. Now, the reason why that line is almost at the 800,000 mark is, please remember, we had our ADM audit, and we have to pay back $261,000. So our true number should have been $792,597. So our payment back on the overpaid ADM money that we've received is going to come out of our capital budget. And this is it's our capital budget for the upcoming school year is going to be right around $10,000 less than the capital budget we currently have.
The ADM that we have to pay back is from what years?
It's from fiscal year 15 through 18.
Okay. But not this past year.
No. And as always, the district is more than welcome to accept any tax credit donations that anybody would like to give. I see a lot of smiling faces in the crowd that would love to go ahead and make that donation. And that's what I got for you as far as the high level.
Can you make that donation online on our website?
Not yet.
Coming soon?
Maybe.
Please?
Maybe. So I want to speak real quickly about on our budget. We are going to see an increase in our tax rate. Good news is property values have gone up over $6 million from the previous year. Our current assessed valuation for all the property within the school district is right around $95,000. So that's $6 million higher than it was for the previous year. So the way funding works is when property values go up, state aid goes down, and the taxpayer has to make up that difference. Okay, that's why the proposed primary tax rate is going to go up about 0.5%. What that means for the individual homeowner, I right now I couldn't tell you. I didn't do the math to figure out what on $100,000 what that would be. So hopefully I can get that for you for when we do the adopted budget. So within the budget itself, some highlights within there. I forgot. So when we're looking at overall teacher salaries, and this is district-wide, where you're looking at just almost $3.8 million in just teacher salaries, which is an increase of 9.5% over the previous year. So I know that kind of goes against what we were talking about earlier with the 2% increase. But that's what the number comes out to, is $3,788,580 in teacher salary. We do have some categories that have gone up, and we do have very few that actually went down. Oh, what happened?
Hey, just to clarify, the salaries was 8.5 million, and the benefits went up, right?
Yes.
To 3.8.
3.8.
Okay.
And that's district-wide. That is not just teachers. That's district-wide salaries and benefits. And does not include those that are paid by a grant. So our Title I teachers, our IDEA basic parapros, they are not included within these figures. I've lost my train of thought. Within our capital budget for the upcoming school year, we have allocated, as of this time, with our proposed budget, just over $3,600 in library books, over $15,000 in textbooks, $5,000 in instructional aids, $256,253 in furniture and equipment. We've also allocated an additional $20,500 for vehicles and another $22,000 for our tech hardware and support, or our tech hardware and software. Within our capital budget as well, we have two lines of credit that we have to, or lease purchase payments that we have to make. They total $173,000 in principal and $22,000 in interest. We have to take those out of the capital budget. I can't take them out of any place else. I've tried and I got in trouble. Let's see, what else is a good thing? Sorry, my iPad's not working. When we're looking at federal grants, we're projecting the majority of our grants to be a little bit less this year. We're not exactly sure what's going on with the federal government and the title grants. But within Title I, we're looking at a budget of right around $780,000. Title II, right around $90,000. Title IV, close to $50,000. What's the other one? IDEA, about $500,000, $450,000. We're looking at somewhere in that area. So a lot of our federal grants have gone down a bit, so we're having to tighten up our budget a little bit in those areas. Other than that, that is my proposed budget. If you have any questions about the proposed budget, this would be a great time to ask.
Mr. President, members of the board, just for your information, the content of this budget, as you remember, we have to project what our enrollment's going to be for the 100th day of next year. So Mr. Schubert has prepared this budget with a 2% increase, projecting that we have a 2% increase in student by the 100th day of next year. And so that's where these figures have come from, and that's kind of where we've landed with the priorities moving forward.
But last year, what percent of increase in students population did we have?
We were right around 3%, 2.5%.
This year we just projected 2%. And if we project under, we're just out the money and still provide services for all the students. If we project over, then what happens?
Yeah, so just a little bit of a background on that. So when, before it used to be that you would do previous year funding. So they would the state had us take the 100th day, and then that was our budget numbers for the following year. Pretty simple process. There was some changes in legislation. So then they went to what we call current year funding, which made us project forward. Now, under the old model, if you had rapid growth or a decrease, they could help fund those portions. Now you project, and if on the 100th day you've under projected, you will pay for those services somehow, right? Because there's no increase anymore. The only thing you can do with your budget now is decrease it during a budget revision in December, January timeframe, and then also in May before you finalize everything. And so that puts you in a real interesting situation. You either project a little bit higher and make sure you have the services taken care of, with the risk of having to pay all that over projection back, or being able to take care of your needs as you move forward if your projection's pretty. So it's a real balancing act, and that's why currently we've started at the 2% for next year, and that's what this budget reflects.
I'm wondering if we couldn't, when we come back and look at a budget, if we could look at, to adopt a budget, maybe even project even higher, maybe an extra 2%. Say we do 4% total, and then we just save that extra 2% that we don't use until that 100th day, and we know we don't have to pay that back. But if we do, if we have the enrollment, then then we're not out the money and, not out the money, but out the, still needing to provide for students when we don't have the money to provide for students. Is there a penalty to doing that?
There's not. It's similar to what we're doing now. We're projecting 2% growth. If we flatlined and we had zero growth or we declined in enrollment,
Get the 2% back,
It
but
would
that's
be the
built into
same.
our budget right now. I'm just saying maybe we project a little bit more and then contingency come 100th day, then yay, we can use it, or no, we give it back. I don't know.
Are you
Just a thought.
projecting fewer students next year?
it's hard to tell. If you look at trends, we've had highs and lows, but it's pretty much a flat line as far as trend lines are concerned. It's real interesting. Last year, August, September, October, we were busting seams, right? November, December, January, February, during the winter months, you see a decline. Maybe not as much as some of the surrounding districts do, but we do see a decline in those 4 months. And then we tend to see a little ramp up at the end of the year. And then we, again, in the summer, pick up those students. And so we're looking at some trends in the community. Building permits are a little bit higher than they have been in the past. Some other things and trends in the city might indicate that we could have some hospital coming in. There are some families that are coming into those positions. Not that they're coming in, but their expansion. Some other factors led us to where we are with the 2%. We feel like there's a little bit more buffer. We could bring back the current proposal and another option so that you can look and see what the difference would be and assess it from there. But we built the 2% recommendation for the proposed budget this evening based on some of those assumptions.
So can we approve the proposed budget as it is, and then when we come back to the adopted one, maybe see?
Yeah, between a proposed budget and the adopted budget, there could be factors that change.
Okay.
And but when we approve that final budget, that's our marching orders.
That's what I would like to see, is to see the two.
Do you want to see another budget with an extra cushion there of another 2%?
That we're not going to spend, so it's not, we'll just hang on to it. It's that.
What if?
Yeah, when the state's playing this game with us, like, yeah, playback. I don't know. I feel like we are going to be on the, what if we get a lot more special needs students that really, they need another individual parapro? They need, I don't know. When I look at this one and we didn't do 2% for special ed, then it makes me nervous. I know we did a lot. We tested more than we have in the past. I think you said 3 times as many students as we normally do. I want our teachers and our staff to have the things that they need to be able to provide that excellent education, because I feel like people in the community are starting to come to Sholo because of the great things that we offer, and that's what we want. So. But I understand the flat line, and when you look at the graph from his presentation on the ADM numbers for the enrollment, we were low, but now we're high, and I've seen it over many years. I know when Mike Seaman would show it was just up and down, up and down, up and down. So I know that we do that up here in the mountains. We go up and down, but I just would hate to be stuck short.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll entertain a motion. I don't know, if she were to make a motion, would it include having you give us an extra buffer, or just approval of this proposed and we ask you to do that for
I
us?
can just approve
the proposed budget and
Yeah.
then ask us to bring back another.
Okay.
Make a motion for the approval of the proposed budget for the 2019-20 school year.
I second it.
On the motion, a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item 8.1, adjourn. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I second the motion.
I have a motion, a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you for being here this evening. We appreciate your attendance. Be safe on your way home.
So there are a couple, make sure we sign the budget sheets.